Good evening. Today is Tuesday, January 27th, and this is the annual meeting of the Clay Township Board and the Board of Finance. This is in the community room at the John Hensel Government Center. I call the meeting to order, and the first thing is to pledge the flag. Would you join me, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business tonight is the approval of minutes from the December 9th board meeting.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? I probably should have asked that first. All set? Great. And the second one is the minutes from January 6th. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Public comments. Michelle from Prevail, if you'd like to go to the microphone, please.
All right, good evening. I'm honored to be here to say thank you to Clay Township Trustees Office. We have a great partnership and collaboration, and every month we have what we call a Prevail Hero, and we have chosen Clay Township as our hero for the month of January, and we so appreciate the collaboration that we have with you. Being a victim awareness and support program in Hamilton County, the support that you give us is phenomenal to help those victims that have been have experienced some kind of crime against them. So we appreciate the help, and you are a big part of their healing. So we can't thank you enough, and for that, we are honoring you. And thank you, Mary, for being the president of the board, and I wanted to honor you guys with this award for being the Prevail Hero. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of the board, I'd like to say thank you very much. Please thank the others for that honor, too.
I will. Thank you so much.
Action items. Tonight, we organized the Board of Finance pursuant to Indiana Code 5-13-7-6 to elect a president and secretary. May I have a suggestion, a nomination?
I'll nominate Paul for president.
I second that. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Paul, if you'd like to take over.
All right, thank you very much. We also need a motion to nominate a secretary for the Board of Finance. May I have nominations?
I'll nominate Mary.
And I second Mary as our secretary for the Board of Finance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mary, you will be our secretary. Thank you very much. The first order of business of the Board of Finance is a review of our investment policy. And I take it that would be Angie Steno.
Thank you. In front of you have a copy of the report of the investments for the year 2014. These are similar to what you've seen in the past. You'll see during the calendar year, approximately $184,000 was invested in the public funds now account. The remainder of township funds of $8.8 million were invested in the liquidity management account, both held with Fifth Third Bank. So these are the same type of investments you've had in the past few years, all handled by Fifth Third and within statutory rules on investment grade investments.
Any questions? Matt?
No, ma'am.
Paul?
No, ma'am.
May I have a motion to accept that, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none.
Oh,
No.
Point of, we just accepted the investment policy, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We move to approve the 2014 annual report. And in Doug's absence tonight, Clerk Debbie Spilbring will be doing the honors.
Thank you, Mary. We were able to upload the annual report this year from our financial system, so that was very exciting. I didn't have to go through and actually enter every single vendor and amount, so I was thrilled about that. Everything went through good, no errors. Other than that, I can go through each fund, but that's right there on page 2. It gives you the beginning balance for January 2014 and gives you the ending balance for December 2014. And if you look on the investment sheet, it kind of explains why the amounts are different, and that's the outstanding checks. So when I reconcile the now account first, and then about 4 to 5 days later, I do the liquidity account, because that's when Fifth Third gets me the information to reconcile that account. And then the outstanding checks are the difference. So, if you guys have any other questions, Angie's here also. Angie was, she always comes up and goes through everything after I've got it entered, and before we actually submit it to the State Board of Accounts.
Is there anything you'd like to add, Angie, before we have any questions?
I don't think so. I think last step is for the board to actually approve the report. Then we'll publish that analysis into the newspaper. We've already submitted it to the state, so nothing out of the ordinary, unless there's any questions on any of the numbers you see.
When do you anticipate the state will accept it and stamp it as acceptable?
We actually submitted that back on January 14th, and it came through fine, accepted into the system, so the townships met that deadline for that purpose, and this is really just the last purpose of advertising for the public.
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any questions? I was going to ask that first.
That's all right. It still all works.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Information items. Carmel Fire Department EMS Annual Collection Report. Debbie?
I know Doug always gives you this at the beginning of the year, and if you have any questions about it, I would pass those on to Angie, just because Doug's not here, and I know he knows a lot more about it than I do. But if you have any questions, Angie's here for that.
Any questions, Paul?
No, it's pretty much of a continuous increase
Right.
in revenue per se. Collections are down just a little bit, but it looks pretty normal as far as we've looked at it in the past.
Matt, any questions?
The only question I have, and doesn't need an answer tonight, but I'd like to see where this money, like what their budget is. Like, we give them, I mean, that's great that they're collecting this. I don't have any problem with the percentages, 75%. I mean, the trend's over 70 for the last several years. I think it's great. But that money comes in, and then what's it get spent on? And I guess that's what I would be curious about. And also, it's Carmel Clay Fire Department at the heading of the page. But
And I'll look and add that as something to do. It's restricted on what they can use it on, so it's probably going in to fund equipment.
I want to know if
probably.
they're carrying a balance. I mean, if they're just carrying a large
And
balance.
we'll
every
talk
year.
with Doug when he gets back in, but that's information we'd be able to pull, just so you
Sure.
can see that for sure.
Okay, that's
So
a
we'll put
good
that as a
question,
to-do.
Matt. Thank you.
That's all I've got.
All right. And since it's an information item, we don't have to vote. Debbie, the ITA Legislative Conference, March 1st to 3?
Yes, that's coming up.
1st to 3, sorry about that.
That's
To the
okay.
3rd, 2015.
Yes. March 1st is on Sunday, so that'll be the people registering and checking into the hotel and stuff. It's at the Hilton downtown Indianapolis again this year. So March 2nd, which is Monday, will be information. The conference will hear what's been going on at the House. And then the March 3rd is actually when we go over to the State House. All of you are welcome. If you'd like to go, please let me know, and I'll put you down for attending.
All right. Financial questions from the board. Any, Paul?
I have none.
Matt? I don't have any either. Board comments?
I just want to explain Doug's sick tonight. Hope he feels better. And Debbie, thank you for filling in ably. And Angie, it's always good to see you. Hal Espy, you always do a great job at the board. Thank you very much.
Matt, any comment?
I've got nothing.
I do have something. I had a long talk today with Rick Sharp. I was talking to him about the fire question that we had at the end of our meeting, about whether the city could participate in the funding. And of course, his answer was no. But he was very interested in whether we really need to have the training center. He is dead set against it, and he said that he has talked with Matt, and Matt has changed his mind about having it right now. There are some things that I'm not aware of. I'm just repeating a conversation that I had.
Matt Hoffman?
Matt Hoffman, the fire chief, I'm sorry, not you. And so I think that we need to look into that a little bit and see why this feeling from Matt. I certainly did have the conversation with Rick, and we ought to see exactly how the council feels about what's going on. He wanted us to look into that and why Matt would say that.
That's interesting. I'm more concerned about Matt than the council, quite frankly. But nevertheless, if the chief has somehow had a change of heart, we need to understand why.
Right.
And if we should direct our revenues elsewhere on the project. That's quite a significant change of heart. And we just need to talk to the chief, try to understand that.
I didn't have time today to call him. I talked to Rick later this afternoon, and it was just not timing. But I thought I'd call him tomorrow and talk to him,
Okay,
and then I'll give you a report.
excellent.
And we can ask him to come, I think would be in.
I think that would be a good idea. I mean, since that was a
Think so,
significant
yeah.
Talking about Matt.
component.
Matt Hoffman.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know.
Right.
I would be shocked if he's changed his mind, because he's was so adamant for it and against a countywide one.
Yeah.
Right, so,
But
anyway.
that's just one component of a three-component facility, because the maintenance garage is needed, and then the EOC is what I know
Right,
Matt's
right.
really hung up on, so.
Exactly.
And I don't think I haven't seen any more numbers from the architect team on what those decisions were. So it sounds like that's still in process. So I don't have anything to share to see if there's been scope change from that end. I don't think the township office has heard anything to that effect yet either. So my
All I
guess is it's
got
still
was,
working through.
was his conversation today, and I said, I'm surprised, and he said, you need to talk to Matt, and of course, then it was too late in the day to do it
Well,
today.
okay,
So-
well,
Yep.
very good.
I'll do that,
Excellent, thank you.
yes. Are there any announcements?
I don't know of any.
Oh,
I
thanks,
wasn't
Debbie.
given that
Yeah.
information, so as of right now, everything's quiet here at the township.
Thanks.
So,
Before we adjourn, I'd just like to thank Michelle from Prevail for the nice honor that she brought forth for the township. We're very appreciative when something like that happens, and we want them to know it. May I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then the meeting's adjourned tonight at about 6:15.
Thank you.